welcome to another episode of High Octane for the Entrepreneur Engine. And I'm super, super excited to introduce you to Ramneek. He's here with me. When I first connected with Ramneek, it's like we're different brothers. We're brothers from a different mother. We totally connected, and we started talking. It was such an amazing dialogue that we had, and so many insights, and we knew right away that he needed to be here so he can share all the good stuff that entrepreneurs out there want to know, and they can get inspired from you. So what I like to do, Ramneek, is just take it away. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about your journey as an entrepreneur, and then we can take it from there. And I usually encourage people to throw questions, and then what we do is we do a disruption, and then we go ahead and answer those questions and as well. So if I see anybody alive, I will go ahead and say hello to you, and then the person who's going live, and then I ask you the questions, or questions to go for me, or I think Ramneek is more interested than me. So.
No, I don't think so. I mean, based on our phone call, we could have been talking for hours a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So tell me about your journey and where how. I think we're always moving, right? We're always transitioning. We're always going through evolutions, but just tell us.
So, I'm based out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Currently, I am a registered investment advisor with Global Wealth Partners, which is a company we started in 2010. Mm-hmm. And I'm also a real estate broker here in Phoenix. So those are my two main hats that I wear. And I've been doing both for about a little over 10 years for both.
Wow.
So seen the ups and downs going through the 2008 and all that in the Phoenix area. And I've always had a kind of an interest in so many different things. And I felt the best way to kind of pull that all together was getting into and I kind of, you go through your journey and you trial and error and you figure out what works for you. But becoming an investment advisor and then a real estate broker, you pretty much end up at the forefront of a lot of people's business decisions. Yeah. So it brought me into a type of world where I was being exposed to so many different industries without actually being in them. And I found it super, super fascinating because my background education-wise is logistics, supply chain management. So my mind has always gravitated towards connecting dots, understanding how one thing influences another. So I feel like being in the investment management field as well as real estate, it's given me that opportunity to be in front of all these different types of businesses and individuals and clients. And over the last decade, I've ended up becoming, I hesitate just saying I'm a real estate agent or a broker or an investment advisor. I've become an advisor or a consultant to some extent, because you end up just helping people in so many different ways and nuances. And I mean, that's been the greatest part of the journey. And I think that's what entrepreneurs kind of crave more than just the, the plaque on the wall or the success and this and that, is just being involved in the frontier of what's going on.
Yeah. And you made a good point in saying, you can have a title, but that title doesn't necessarily reflect what you do, right? And you become an advisor, and you have two areas, right? Real estate and wealth management, where are very key, because to me is the same. You're buying a house, that's an investment that you're making, and at the same time you have your wealth. So how you manage that wealth, so everything is pretty much taken care of, right? So you've been doing this for 10 years. So what, I mean, to me, I think when people get into either real estate, people that get into any type of entrepreneur venture, what was the motive for you to say, okay, I'm going to jump into the unknown, right? Because that's all the entrepreneurs do, that we jump into the unknown. But
Right.
I do believe that I'm going to be successful by you jumping into unknown. So what triggered all that to make that switch, that change from what you were doing previously and to what you're doing now?
Right. So like, before I was a fully entrepreneur type self-employed, I worked in banking.
Okay.
And going through school, going through all that, was working part-time at a bank, going through school, getting my degree, all these different things. And I think the key to understanding, and for the audience, and the key for everyone to understand in terms of how do you know if you're ready for like a self-employed or an entrepreneurial type path? The key is to just not worry about any specific field, but just have curiosity. And I feel like when you have curiosity, you get to dabble in things. And what I did is, in school, at least here at Arizona State University and whatnot, 12 years ago, you were allowed to, in a business degree, you take all sorts of classes. So one of the type of classes that were available were real estate classes. And one of the side notes on those classes was, hey, if you take these classes, they help you in your degree, but you can also become a real estate agent if you want, because it fills those requirements. So I just kind of, just said, let's give it a shot. Why not? Right. I mean, I'm learning about real estate. If I want, I can get my license, see where it goes. And I kind of just stumbled upon it because I was just initially curious to try it out. So in the beginning, and I would say, I've been doing real estate for about 12 years now, but I would say the first 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, I never really identified as a real estate agent. I had my license, I would help my friends and family, and I just kind of played it with word of mouth. And, my goal was to be an investment advisor, and that was it. So, I didn't go in thinking I'm going to be an agent and I'm going to be the best broker. I'm going to do all this stuff. I just went in thinking, hey, this is interesting to me. I want to try it out. Let's see where it takes me. And I think that's the key. Like sometimes you just got to follow your curiosity and see where it leads you. And you'll often be surprised with, insight into whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah. And I think curiosity is oh, I hear an echo.
Oh, is it me or?
I don't know. I have my headphones on, so let me see. It might be. We sound like we're in a go-to-meeting thing, right?
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can.
Cool.
Let me see if it's on my end real quick. Sorry about that. I'll see if I put in headphones because, my speakers are playing the sound, but. Is that better?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Much better. I don't.
Sorry about that.
No, no problem. I don't hear myself at all. Which is great. So we're going back to, you mentioned really good that you have curiosity, you have all this knowledge, you go through your formal education and you want to jump into entrepreneurship, which I think they're great. You have curiosity. And another thing that what are the things that, when I talk to entrepreneurs, and I also ask for small business owners, since I'm a business coach and I work with small business owners. I ask them, what are your biggest struggles? What are you struggling the most right now? So what have things that you have struggles when you go out there and say, I'm going to be a real estate agent and I want to get into financial, be a financial advisor. What are the things that you were struggling, and what are the things that you struggle now?
Well, now, and those are definitely two different questions, because when you first start, everything is so new and you get kind of caught up in all sorts of things. How are people perceiving me? Am I going to be successful? Am I wasting my time? All these different thoughts are going through your head. And, one thing, if I was able to talk to myself again, going back 10 years, I would I kind of I would reinforce what I was anticipating was the right answer. And what that was is when you're starting out in something, you're going to be questioned about your abilities because you're new at it. Some people might say, hey, you haven't been doing this long. I mean, do you even know what you're talking about? Some people might say, you look really young to be doing this. It can be all sorts of kind of questioning your ability to do things. So I feel like a lot of times we internalize those critics and those judgments, and then we kind of put ourselves in this kind of paralysis that, you know, maybe I shouldn't try to do this yet. Maybe I should wait. Maybe I should do, you know, maybe I should wait a couple of years where on paper I look like I have more experience, you know. And I took that on head on. Because, you know, going through school, I was an early graduate through high school. I graduated college 2 years early. So I always looked younger than everyone around, you know, and I wasn't going to just wait around because people perceive me to be a little older and maybe more knowledgeable. I was like, what I would tell people is truly, like if the conversation deviates from the merit of what you're offering or what you're talking about to questioning your credibility, always reframe that conversation back to the merit of what you're trying to say. And when you do that, and that's the only way you can overcome this insecurity about, well, does he know what he's talking about? Well, let's talk about it. You know, like a lot of times when I was a little younger, people are like, well, you just started an investment company. You look kind of young doing this. Do you know what you're talking about? Well, it's like, well, this is what I think we should be doing. This is how the market's reaction. What are your thoughts? Like, it's a tag, you know, you gotta push and pull a little bit there. And I think that's very important. And that's usually the fear of a lot of people going into something new. You know, you just gotta have, I'm not saying just be blindly confident and arrogant about your abilities, but at the same time, if you're truly going at something, give it 100%. And if you make a mistake, make it quickly. Don't take your time with it. You know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
You know, people, they fear failure. And, you know, I write about this a little bit in my blog is people wait so much to fail or because of the fear of failure. And what I try to tell people is fail quickly. You're wasting your time. Like, why would you postpone something and just realize 2 years later that was a failure? Like, fail now, learn from it, move forward. And that's not to say just don't do your due diligence, but it is to say, you know, failure isn't the reason you're going to be taken off the field and you can't play anymore. So you gotta give it a shot.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned about failing and going quickly. A lot of people don't know about my business name, but I registered my business name 7 years ago, and I started doing coaching about 2 years ago. So there was a 5-year gap where my name is registered. I have the URL. I even had an office because I was doing some consulting work, and I had an office with the name of my coaching practice. And I was so scared to fail. I'm like, no, everything has to be perfectly in line for me to be a coach. And I remember the years passing by, and I will pay that domain, and I will have reinvent coaching. I'm thinking, okay, when are you going to make the leap into coaching, and how are you going to do this? And it's funny because you paralyze yourself thinking, okay, I don't want to fail. I want to do it right. And it was 5 years. So I asked myself, I go, oh my goodness, if I go back to those 5 years, I'd be like very successful now. And I learned from that. I learned from, like you said, you know, do it, fail quickly, get up, do it again, try different things. And also I really like what you're saying about the collaboration piece of, you know, asking people, say, well, you know, what do you think? I'm giving you this. What do you think? And then you go from there.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, please.
You know, like, and that's one thing people, when they start out new things, new ventures, new ideas, and I'm sure you run into this too in your practice, ask for help. Like, ask for help, because as soon as you ask for help, okay, first of all, someone can say no. sorry, I'm busy, or I just don't have the time. That's fine. Well, you're right where you started. But if someone says, okay, I'll help you, what you're asking, I'll get you the answers to your questions or whatever it is, immediately that person has subconsciously invested in you to succeed. They've given you advice from their own experience. It's in their interest to see that advice play through correctly, because if it doesn't, that's a lesson for them. So when you ask for help to people that are also doing something you like, you'd want to see yourself doing one day or something, you're actually, they're investing in you too. So it's in their interest to see you succeed, at least to the extent of the advice they gave you. That's right. And I think a lot of people worry about asking for help because they're like, oh, I'm going to be seen unprepared. I'm going to be seen as I don't know what I'm doing. But no one just shows up knowing everything.
That's right. And I think also I can speak from experience where I've been in conferences where you see the top of the top. You see people that you see the Tony Robbins of the world. And you go there as a coach, as a speaker, and you're so intimidated by the people that you are around with that you don't really shine like you will shine in front of your regular customers. And I always tell people, we all have uniqueness and gifts. So if you don't, I mean, obviously, of course, there's going to be a moment if you meet Tony Robbins where you show your respect. But at the same time, I think Tony Robbins wants to hear from you. So the last thing you want to do is just contemplate the guy as like a god and just let them walk away, right? And I think you have to be yourself. You have to come out with that gift because you're here for a reason, and move forward. So I totally agree with you. It's funny, I've been in those scenarios, and it's not good to look back, but at the same time, I tell entrepreneurs, go all out. If you fall down, get up quickly. Let's try one more time. And the beauty of the things that are happening now in this amazing world of all this technology is, I tell people, it's called digital. You don't even need a eraser to erase things or take it back to the printer. This is digital. I mean, you can change everything so quickly. So that's a very good point. That's a very good point.
And there's two things you said there that's very interesting. Seth Godin talks about this a lot. It's when you're in front of a lot of influential people, or you're about to, you're going into that interview that you're super nervous about, or you're about to give a presentation to people and there's going to be 15 people looking at you or 1,000 people looking at you. You would be crazy to say, anyone would be crazy to say, even Tony Robbins would be crazy to say, I don't get nervous before I get up there, or I don't feel nervous at all. That isn't the point. And, Seth Godin talks about this a lot in terms of the analogy is with marathon running. If a really good marathon runner may be able to beat you in a marathon, but at the same time, it's not like the best marathon runners in the world don't get tired, right? They've just learned where to put the tired long enough to succeed, right? So and that's the same thing when it comes to anxiety and your nerves when you're getting in front of a lot of people or talking, doing something new, is the more you do it, the more you learn where to put the nervousness, the anxiety when you're going up there in front of people, So it's very important to just do it, because that repetition, your body gets more accustomed to these types of pressures, and you're able to navigate through it. And then all of a sudden you don't have that fog of anxiety anymore. And then all of a sudden you're succeeding. But until you do it the first few times, you're not going to know how much help you need.
That's right. And also at the same time, I think when you meet these people that are maybe 2-3 years more of experience in your field, they also see themselves as how they started.
Right.
So they get a reflection of that, and they really want to see you showing off your gifts so they can relate to you. So I really, that's totally dead on. One of the things that I wanted to tell the audience is, when I connected with you, it's funny, we were talking about how technology, and in matter of fact, I was thinking about our conversation this morning, because I went to a networking event and they were talking about how IT is changing the world and technology and this and that. And I'm like, wow, it's really, there's so many things right now. Like they're talking about how cars are talking to each other now, and eventually
Right.
they're going to be able to, they're going to have sensors, and those sensors are going to be next, also in your phone and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I'm thinking, all right, so we adding more to the disconnect. And I remember you and I talking about that disconnect that we have
Right.
is human as a community with technology. And obviously is, we have this amazing thing, right? That
Right. Yeah.
we call it amazing, but it's
Yeah.
not.
I got one right here. So.
And it's amazing how is that changing the way that we interact with each other, and how we not really, technology is not keeping up with the human growth, right? The
Right.
mind growth is,
Right.
and is going too fast, and we're not really catching up, and then we're sacrificing a lot of things. So if you can add, I mean, I know we had that conversation, and
Right.
you were adding some really good points to it.
Yeah, like we were talking about, I think technology, and it's important, I write about this in a book I wrote, because a lot of things we talk about are related, even though we've been kind of trained through schooling and through whatnot to think, okay, this is business, this is science, this is politics, this is that. But people don't understand everything affects everything. And that's just the facts. And, when you talk first, when you say technology, it's important to understand what you mean, right? So, I mean, we're talking about our phones, social media, like the current state of the internet, all those things, right? So when you talk about technology in that sense, I suspect, from at least my observation, is that technology isn't changing us. It's kind of exposing our habits, because things are getting easier. Things are getting less complicated. It's easier to talk to your friends. It's easier to talk to your family, and it's easier not to, like, I mean, it's a very significant thing to say, like, I can call anyone in the world, but, if you're not answering your phone, those are clear, distinct messages in a social level, right? So I feel like, technology in the general sense just kind of exposes and amplifies our habits. And, I think there is a case to be said that, okay, because of all this technology that we have, the way we see it now, I would say, let's say the last 15, 20 years, there is this lack of maybe this social skills, and, interacting with each other has decreased, possibly because of all this technology. And then, what do we do with that? So that's the question, right? So how do we control this? And I feel like we're in that awe state when it comes to technology. Like the fireworks just started, and we're just looking up in the sky, and it's so amazing, right? We're just seeing just what we can do with the Internet of Things and this and that. We're just starting to see the possibilities we have with all these different technologies. And I suspect that over time, we're going to swing too much on one end and try to put technology in everything we do. And then we're going to kind of swing back and calibrate into the practicality of what is useful. Yeah. And, you kind of see this in the medical side of things. I talk to a lot of, I have a lot of clients and friends that are, medical professionals and whatnot. And a lot of them will tell you, there's so many medical health devices. You got your Fitbit, you got this, you got that. And, oh, look, I can see my heartbeat in real time. But what is the actual utility of this technology? And if you talk to most medical professionals, they'll say it's kind of useless. It's just, oh, look, I can see my heart rate, but that doesn't help you in a situation where something goes wrong. They're just going to look back and look at the history maybe, but like a lot of these things are just technology where they're not really being utilized in any effective way. It's just kind of there. So yeah. I feel like as a society, we're in that space where we're just trying to see, hey, let's see if it works here. Let's see if it works there. And we just kind of have to be aware of this kind of this paradigm that we're in. And as long as we do, especially as entrepreneurs, that's where all the opportunity is, right? As society starts recalibrating into what's practical, the pragmatic uses of technology, that's where entrepreneurs can make and add real value to people in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah. It's funny because when you were talking about the pendulum and moving from, using technology and then going back and say, okay, well, this is how we should use technology.
Right.
It made me think when the when the microwaves came out, right?
Right.
Everybody was freaking microwaving everything.
Right.
Like,
right.
I will microwave this. I will microwave that.
Right.
And it basically, the microwave came down to, okay, I'm just going to warm up food. I'm not going to cook food, right? Even the food, I think the frozen industry also did not succeed it because people are not putting TV dinners and eating that.
Right.
I mean, maybe there's a percentage of people doing that. And if you do that, you should think about your health, the health benefits of that. But I think it's that. I think it's also the we go back. Another thing is, it's funny, you're talking about the Fitbit and the scale, the electronic scale that kind of combine everything. And also what I have noticed with some of my clients is it creates anxiety for some people. Because they're waking up and they're weighting themselves.
Right.
And they're like, okay, I haven't lost any weight. Okay, great. And that's the first thing is seated in their minds. I haven't lost weight.
Right.
And then towards the end of the day, they're like, oh, I haven't done my 10,000 steps. All right, let me get up. Let me get up and see. And it adds more anxiety to it, right? I don't think there's a meaningful moment of you looking at the thing and say, guess what? I'm going to make another 5,000 steps, but they're going to be very meaningful steps. No. You just want to get it done.
Right.
Just for the fact that, and a lot of people don't realize that your body goes through so many fluctuations depending on your brain, depending on what's happening. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting healthier or you're getting overweight. It just means that you fluctuate in its life. Because it's funny, I hope they come out with a Fitbit that measures your happiness, right?
Right. Yeah.
Measures your stress level. You're less stressed today. You're very mindful, Javier. Oh, great. That will really benefit all the things. And I think we are letting technology dictate our lives instead of going to the point that you made. How can I use technology to serve me?
Right.
Not me serving technology, right? And I think that's the key. The key is, how can I utilize technology to so one of the things that I have talked to people, I say, why you get an iWatch or why you get a smart watch? And they're like, oh, notifications. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. I'm thinking, okay, great. Well, you have a phone, right? Yeah, but so I'm thinking, wow, so you dictating that technology, dictating your life at the moment. I personally take all the notifications, and I personally don't check anything besides very strictly times of my day, because I think what happens is you let technology dictate your life and just move and get you away from the purpose, right? Of what we're here for.
And that's a problem, especially for any entrepreneur or businessman, because I'll tell you, Wi-Fi on the plane was one of the worst things that ever happened to me. Yeah. Because, you have no excuse to never be in the know about what's going on. And there's a value in having moments to not be alerted of the next thought, alerted about the next issue right when it happens, because you don't understand that in your subconscious, you're processing all these problems and all these things that you want to navigate through. And if you don't have a time to kind of process this stuff throughout the day, you're just taking in all of this information, but you're not able to make use of it very effectively. You need, if you have an hour of silence while you're driving, you get a lot done. You get a lot done because you're able to process, you get to process through your mind all these things that you've been meaning to think about and work through, whether it's personal, whether it's about your business, whether it's about, this event that I'm going to in 2 weeks, whether it's about this trip that I'm planning for next year, whatever it is, and just because it's silent and you don't have something in front of you doesn't mean you're not getting things done that are in your interest. And I think a lot of people would value from understanding that dynamic between technology and just who we are as human beings.
Yeah, completely. I'm with you, and that's why I tell people, right. A lot of entrepreneurs come to me and they say, "Hey, help me with time management," and I'm like, "Great, not a problem." I go, "Do you sleep next to your phone?" "Yes, I do." "All right, well, I want you to put your phone as far away from your nightstand as possible." "Oh, well, what if they call me? What if I miss anything?" "Okay, I'm helping you with time management. I'm really helping you with time management." And that's one of the first things I do. And the first thing I do is, what do you do exactly in the morning? Right. I'm a big supporter of the Miracle Morning by Hal Errol. And you have to position yourself. The first thing you do, you get up in the morning, is you have to be silent. You have to either meditate, pray, but really quiet your mind, because what's happening is your mind is already quiet as you get up in the morning. Well, guess what? You're gonna grab the phone.
I know. I'm guilty of that. I am so guilty.
And your mind just goes everywhere, and you're like, okay, once you calm your mind and really visualize how you want your day to be, your affirmation, what are you grateful for, really set yourself for the day to move forward. I mean, just before we started the interview, we have 5 minutes, and it was the longest and more meaningful and productive 5 minutes that we had, right?
Oh yeah, so absolutely.
That tells you, wow. Oh wow. So if I can calm my mind, I can be more productive. Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. I think planes with this Wi-Fi is distraction of the mind.
I think it's doing worse. It did. I don't know, like I mean, we're all guilty of it. It's all tempting. Like, let's connect online. Let's just be online on the flight, see what's going on. And, you know, we're all tempted of that. But sometimes lately, I just don't, I got an hour and a half flight. I'm just going to sit there and just listen to the hum and just see what happens,
Or you can start a conversation with somebody else. You never know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. There's a guy next to me or a woman next to me. Yeah. Maybe I can say hello, and maybe it could be interesting. You never know. It could be
interesting. You never know. So you talk about a book, right?
Okay.
And I'm always, as a coach, a lot of the coaches out there, they have their own books and they're going very successful. I personally don't have a book. Yes, I do have a lot of ideas, but
you do have a book. You have
a book right here, but not telling me. So I really admire people that have published a book. So tell us more. I'm curious.
Sure.
This is my coach talking. I'm curious to know what made you write the book. How was the process?
Right.
And also share, obviously, tell us a little bit about the book. And also, if you can tell us, I have your Facebook profile right here that I'm going to show in a minute. But how can people get in touch with you so they can either where they can go and get the book, right? Because you told me a little bit about it, and I don't want to blow the surprise to anybody that's listening, but tell us the beginning, how you got there, what made you write it, the whole process, and then tell us a little bit about it. That'd be awesome.
Sure. So, this kind of circles back to what you were saying, how you registered your URL 7 years ago, and one thing after the other, and all of a sudden 5 years go by and you're like, what have I done? Why did I take so long to do this? So like, it's funny because if I actually date back, because, deep down inside, I feel like me personally, I find joy in writing, and that's just a personal thing. And so I've always been a writer, just never really, shared anything to anyone in public about it. But so at some point, and I can date back because, you know, I used to keep little like journals where I'm just writing thoughts down, whatever it is, you know, and I can date back. And it's funny. And this is one thing I do suggest a lot of people that are looking to do anything in life, whether it's be self-employed one day, or even if you're at a 9 to 5, it doesn't matter. If you can write a little bit about just the thoughts you're having, it doesn't have to be like a journal, but just it's fun to go back and see when something started. And, you know, when I go back, I can actually date back to when I started having thoughts about this book or ideas about this book back in 2010. So sometimes I'm ashamed to say this book is 8 years in the making when it came out last year, you know, but it's one of those things where I wanted to put together a very quick, you know, it's quick by design. I wanted to put together a framework of ideas to help people navigate through life in general. And the reason it prompted me to do this is, and I don't mean to get political or anything, is I was just having dinner with my friends and some other acquaintances that we had. And we were just talking about the economy. It's 2011. Real estate's kind of bottoming out. We're trying to figure out what's going on there. So everyone's talking about, oh, what's the Democrat platform? What's the Republican platform? All this stuff. And politics aside, I just started thinking and talking to all my friends as well as these acquaintances about, well, you know, if the economy does this, you know, I feel like we could see a rebound, but, you know, we could really use some investment here as a country and blah, blah, blah. And it didn't matter what I said at that dinner. The very first question I got after I stopped talking was, so are you a Republican or a Democrat? And that was my like aha moment. I'm like, okay, I was just talking for like 7 minutes about something. They find it engaging, but they got so distracted with not being able to put a label to me that they have no idea what I said. And that I felt like this is one of the largest, like, I don't know, one of these strange things in society that is going on. And, you know, in politics, it's much more apparent that we're so polarized, but people are they need to know where you lean on different ideas before they even hear what the idea is. And in business, that's a killer. That is a killer of, you know, of innovation. That is not how you should do things. So I'm like, you know, I need to take a step back, and I want to create a framework for people where I want to teach people how to think, not what to think. I don't care what you think, but I want to teach you how to think so you're consistent with your own logic in your mind. And as you navigate through your personal life, your businesses and this and that, you're able to catch yourself when something isn't right. And so what I did is, you know, at that dinner is where I coined the phrase, no, I'm a logicrat. And that's the name of my book. I'm a logicrat because I hate being put into these labels. And, you know, at the time it was just kind of like, oh, that's kind of a funny name you thought of. And then I kind of expanded on that. And literally 8 years later, I came out with this book. And this book is little to nothing to do with politics, but you can kind of interpret it however you want. But the book really goes after how to formulate strong ideas, whatever you believe in, and how to understand and be able to re-critique yourself. If you come across information that's contradictory to yourself, how do you, you know, put that into perspective? And I really dig deep into the actual core ideals of how to think. And I do it in a very, like, I try to do it in a very, you know, general way, in a way that we can all relate to. I give very general examples and analogies that we see every day. And I really try to disassociate a lot of ideas we have in life. And one example I could give you and the viewers is, you know, what's fascinating to me is this: we feel like we are the ideas we're holding. Yeah. Like we treat ideas as an extension of our, like as if it's my left arm. And if you contradict my left arm, you're attacking me. And if you're attacking me, I'm in defense mode. You know, so I try to disassociate people from ideas, and I try to show people that, listen, you are not your ideas. Ideas are simply tools to understand the world around you. And as soon as a better tool comes around, you take the better tool. But if a better tool doesn't come around, then you've got yours, right? So and that's how, if we treat ideas like that, I feel like we would be less combative, and I feel like you'd get more collaboration. And I think you'd get that in the personal sense, in our politics, and in businesses. You know, I mean, you can see it everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
and two things that I capture here is I completely agree with you. When you're in a conversation and people either don't want to think, or they want to go deeper, or they want to understand what you're saying, and automatically they're looking for a label, right? And I think your friends were like, okay, you're Democrat or you're Republican,
right?
Because that way I'm gonna feel so good or so bad about you that I'm gonna come back to you with something, right? It's funny how people put those labels in people, so that way we can justify our actions. You hit in something very very strong about ideas and thoughts, and I teach my clients about leadership, and some of the things that I teach them and say, you do thoughts, and then you have a feeling, and then based on that feeling, you're gonna do an action. So imagine if you truly believe in your thought, how are you gonna feel, and then what are you gonna do? It's very powerful. Instead of really thinking, hey, I'm not my thoughts, right? So if I look at you and say, okay, why in the world I'm judging this person? What is that person saying that is triggering me that judgmental point of view? What can I do so I can comprehend that person better, or maybe take a step back, right? And I coach my clients NLP method, where detach yourself from yourself. Just put a third person there looking at that person, but don't judge it. And from there, your feeling is going to be different. It's funny how a lot of people are in a constant loop of really thinking very negative of somebody. Their feelings is going to be frustration or anger, or they're going to be defensive, and their actions are going to be that they're going to push away. And it's funny how, if you really think about what you're thinking and how you pollute in your mind, you can control that. And it's hard. I think we're
not taught that.
We don't take the time to reprogram our minds. I tell people, I say, let's do some mind hacking. Get out of your mind. This is who I am. No, that's not who you are. You're trained to be that person that you hate so much, so let's work and reprogram that, so you can create this amazing feelings, and you can create a better action. So that's
and like you touched on, and I think a lot of people in our entrepreneurial type fields, they talk about this a lot. I sometimes refer to it as the executive state, in the mind. And basically what we're talking about is, one term that I've come across that kind of describes it is metacognition, right? It's thinking about your thoughts. So when you're able to think about your thoughts as they're coming in, then you're kind of, you're achieving that executive level. So like if something happens and you're frustrated, you think about, okay, I'm starting to feel the sensations of frustration. Why am I feeling that? What prompted me to feel it? So when you're able to evaluate your thoughts in your head like that, then you're reaching that executive state. And when you reach that executive state, that's what makes you successful as an entrepreneur, because you're not going to make impulse decisions when something comes at you. You're going to take it in, you're going to digest it, and then you're going to make the most thoughtful action you can in the best interest. So it's very important to do that.
Definitely. So that book came out about a year ago, you say?
Yeah. It's been about a year and a half. Yeah.
Okay. And where can people get this book? They go through your page, or where you suggest?
Yeah. So I made it available everywhere. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Barnes & Noble, Google, wherever you buy ebooks or a physical copy, you can buy it there. I provide a lot of the links to Logicrat's content on the Facebook page. I'm continuing that project, the Logicrat's project, the Facebook page kind of functioning as the hub. If you go to logicrat.com, you'll be able to see I've started a blog there to kind of expand on my own ideas using these ideals to kind of give people an idea of how to apply these principles. And I'm applying it from my perspective. So I'm just throwing those ideas out there for people to see, so people can see like, oh, wow, that's an interesting perspective. And how did he come about that? So what I want people to think reading my stuff on my blog is, I wonder how he came about that decision. And then boom, the book is supposed to show you where I'm coming from, or where anyone who thinks like this would come from. And the plan is to expand that into a podcast in the near future and whatnot. So if people want to find the book, you just type in Logicrat on Google or Amazon or Barnes & Noble or on Facebook, and there's going to be links on all the pages, and you can kind of buy it from wherever you prefer to.
Okay, and definitely there is going to be information on your Facebook page as well. So great. Man, that sounds so interesting. Where do you think? Let's project ourselves in the future as an entrepreneur. Where do you think this is going to take you? I mean, I can see it, but I can see it, and at the same time, I'm like, well, guess what? I have a Facebook Live recording here. I'm keeping it.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
it can be. I don't know if eBay is gonna start actioning videos of people that are super famous. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So I can see this. I can see that. It's funny. This is what I see. I mean, this is my intuition, and I tell people this is my gift. My gift is my intuition. This can be applied to organization development in companies, especially in think tanks, right? It can be applied as well as in education. I think that I think in education, traditional education, I think it's like Pink Floyd, right? It's like people just want to break the wall because we are. It's funny. You like. Really, there's no creative thinking here in any of the courses. Well, if you do arts, yes, it is. I also see it as a form of communication as well, a dialogue that can be implemented. So that's what I see. My intuition is telling me. But where do you see yourself? Yeah, where do you see yourself projecting yourself with this?
Well, as we met, I'm in this process. I feel like in this year, the previous year, and the coming year, of consolidating all of these different ideas into a consulting practice and some type of a speaker format. So what I'm trying to do now, and what I hope to see in the future for myself, is I want this Logicrat type brand. I hate saying brand because it's not really a product, but this format, this idea to kind of start helping shape society as we move forward. So whether it's through Logicrat's sponsored forums, like debates, Logicrat, seminars, whether it's people that start saying, I endorse a Logicrat mindset. And so then you can kind of understand that, okay, they're coming at it with this type of methodology. What I want to see is people take the basic principles and the foundation of what I kind of lay out in the book and run with it. Because I tell people right away that this book is not the answer to all things, but it is the in my opinion, obviously, it is the foundation of where we can start. And I feel like if we keep this type of blueprint as we move forward in the things that we're dealing with, whether it's in our businesses, politics or even our personal development, I feel like we have a much higher likelihood of success. And I just want people to take it and make something out of it. And that's all I want. I just want people to find value in it and able to use it to improve whatever they're trying to do. And as long as I can see that, there's no monetary number, there's no nothing. As long as I can see that, I feel like this book is a success. And to me, it's already a success because it's an idea. It's my first ideation of trying to add value to people without knowing them. And it's out there for people. And that to me in itself that's what I'm grateful for. So
awesome. Yeah. And I can see this. I was thinking about how people design their lives and how people, instead of being creative thinking of how you design your life, where your life is evolving and changing, how people think of designing their lives very, very, very straightforward, without nothing bending and transforming and colors. It's like they're building something with steel and concrete and they feel that, okay, this is it, that's it, right? And I haven't read the book, shame on me, but but what I see is this Logicraft to be that component where, like we are, we fluctuate, we move, we change, that's the beauty of being humans, is that we're not just a building that we are building and that's it. We stay the way we are, right? We always evolving.
And the essence of being a logicrat, to me, the fun I had writing the book is I did it because I love picking apart things we associate and no one knows why. Yeah. And I love it. And I love touching on that because, like, people have this thing like, oh, I need to build this structure. I need to present myself in a way where people feel like I don't make mistakes and this and that. And I just, every time I make a call, it's the right call, and if people perceive me that way, I'm going to be successful. And, I dismiss that right off the bat in my own practices because I tell people, listen, do you want me to show you a track record where I was flawless, or do you want to understand what I do when things don't go right?
Yeah.
And which one is more valuable in an advisor? Someone who functions under pressure, under stress, under circumstances that we did not encounter before. Do you want to understand how I manage risk, or do you want just to see a perfect record behind me and I haven't made a bad call yet? Because I'm more interested in people that say, hey, when excuse me, but when shit hits the fan, what do you do? And people that know how to manage risk, know how to do things when you come across something you've never seen before. How a person works and under those circumstances, I find more value in that than, a shiny resume.
Yeah. I agree with you. And what I definitely, I'm in sync with you is, that, like you say, setting up expectation for others is a completely, you don't do that. You do that for yourself, right? And you have to I always ask my clients, where is your why, right? What is your why and the value that you bring into it, and go for it. Like, I always teach my clients to have a meaningful conversation.
Right.
Don't have just a chit chat conversation, but just a meaningful conversation with a purpose and curiosity, and add value to that conversation, because something meaningful is going to come out. And I think today, we spent an hour talking, and the things that came out, they're quite amazing, right? Because we haven't create a sketch or say, okay, we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to tell you.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the beauty that the Logicraft came out, and you were talking about it, and I think this is going to inspire a lot of entrepreneurs. And I personally see a great future coming your way.
I appreciate that. That's
I think the train is right there, and you just have to step in the train and just leave the station, right? And I think you have you have that foundation that is going to be able to, like you say, um, take talks, talking to people, creating this community, creating a methodology, for example, and going beyond that, and people having a dialogue. And I see this getting implemented even in nonprofits and organizations, because there's a huge disconnect
Yeah.
in the way America or in the world organizations are working and communicating and thinking. Huge
Yeah.
disconnect. And I think
Yeah.
the more mythology and the more logic craft. There you go. I'm
Yeah.
gonna use it as a word.
Oh, I love it.
There you go, logic craft. The more logic craft we put into,
Right.
our conversations,
Right.
I think it's gonna make better to have more
And
in
and
insightful conversations. Yeah.
yeah, and I think we're going to need it because, when you kind of apply these methods and this perspective, at least, from my perspective, and you can kind of tell me what you're seeing because, you're in San Francisco, you're seeing different things happening. Um, we are in a transition phase as a country, I feel like, economically, and we've been running on the fumes of the Industrial Revolution a little too long, and what is due is a economic renovation is what I kind of referred to. We have to reinvent a lot of different things because things are not as they used to be. We're not the manufacturing powerhouse. We don't even need that as much anymore. And it's going to take a lot of entrepreneurs. It's going to take a lot of creators. It's going to take a lot of creatives to reinvent and renovate what we do next, because we are a economic leader. We're one of the leaders. So what do we do? And that's a very daunting question. And I feel like we have to take that on.
Yeah, it's a very daunting question. So I cannot speak for the entrepreneurs or the companies here, but I'm a strong believer of being a conscious entrepreneur. And I believe that companies and CEOs, I think it's great to make money and keep the shareholders happy, and your stock is rising every day and everybody's making money, and everybody is driving the latest Tesla. I think it's amazing. But I think what we have to think is, what is the value and what is the contribution that we are providing to society and to everyone. And I think companies should start thinking that way. And I think I agree with you. I think a lot of companies are just failing because people are noticing, it's just a brand. It's just something for me to consume, but there's no value. There's nothing to it. And I think companies should pay attention. I think we are where we are personally because we have created this.
Right.
A lot of people, no disrespect to Trump or people that love Trump. A lot of people say, well, oh my goodness, how can we have a president like Trump? And I said, well, you created him.
Right.
This guy did not show up out of nowhere. And I think we also created Obama as well. I think us as a society, we project this and we get that result. So we got to start thinking about, as entrepreneurs, is what else can we value-wise that helps society, right? Today I saw a van, I forgot what services they were selling, but they say, hey, 25% of my profits go to charity. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. But what charities?
Right.
What? Yeah, because charities can be, NFL is a nonprofit, so you can go to NFL.
Right.
But what charities? But it would be nice to know, hey, 10% of my profits goes to clean water in Africa, because we believe that if we have clean water in Africa, that economy is going to take off, and then we're going to benefit from that as a society. And I think we have to start thinking that way. For me, obviously, for coaches, if we don't have successful clients, we're not in business. So we really want to put value into our clients, because we are creating someone who's going to eventually create value for others. It's like pay forward, right? But I agree. We are in a point that we have the power
Right.
to change anything. I think if we implement once again, I'm using it, logic craft into this, and we have conversations, I think we can definitely change things.
And I feel like, and this is something I'm taking on more formally in like a blog and whatnot, and that is we always separate business from the arts, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like in many ways entrepreneurs are artists.
Yeah.
In many ways, because what we're doing is we're exploring the gray area of society. And a lot of people go back and forth in terms of the notion of, oh, business, businesses are evil, large corporations are evil. But what I try to tell people is, look, businesses, capitalism, these are all tools. So it can be used in a really good way and it can be used in a really bad way. And the challenge, and where we become artists as entrepreneurs, is finding creative ways to link business type incentives, structure, framework into something that benefits society in a personal way. Like you said, like clean water and this and that. And the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that can tie a compelling economic incentive to improving things for all of us. And that's the holy grail for an entrepreneur, is to find that link and get there before anyone else.
That's right. And provide back. And yeah, I agree. A lot of people blame capitalism, but capitalism is the engine to make things happen, right? And the most fastest way in any economy. But at the same time, hey, this is an example. Tobacco companies in Europe are forced to put a picture of a guy dying of lung cancer,
on the
on the package. And let me tell you, man, people buy it. If people smoke, so you're like, okay, so they're telling you it's gonna kill you, and you still buy it. So a lot of people blame the tobacco industry, but the tobacco industry are very regulated in Europe compared to the US. Here, you don't see.
Right.
It just costs more money. But there, you see this awful pictures of people just, dying and holes here and this and that. And I asked my friends, I said, what made you buy a pack of cigarettes? I mean, if I see that, I'll be like, whoa, forget that. And they blame the capitalism system. I'm like, no, you have the choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have the choice to eat healthier. You have the choice to buy this, to buy that. Don't buy fast food. You can buy an electric car versus. So you have all those possibilities. But the beauty of capitalism is that it will help you as an entrepreneur go as fast as you want or slow as you want, where other countries is such a bureaucracy to happen. So what we have to be conscious of that power, and we have to say, hey, well, if I have the ability to do this, right, then okay, well, let me do some good back to society, add some value, so society can sustain and flourish, and that way you can be successful in business. And I think the most successful entrepreneurs are do that, right? They have their own foundations. They're creating a really good message for society. They're providing back, and I think that's the way to go. But a lot of people blame capitalism. I'm like, capitalism has nothing to do with it. It's how we as humans really use the power that we are given. And a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people, I don't know. That's why I'm so fascinated about the human behavior, human brain, because we do things that we're like, really? Seriously? I mean, the other day, and not to go off track, a lot of people say, hey, Javier, I really need money for my business. Well, what do you think I should do? I said, well, I'm a coach, but I can give you from a consultant perspective. You can go to the Shark Tank and see if you can get an audition there and see if you can get some money there. But keep in mind, they're going to keep 70% of your company.
Right.
And they want to make sure that you're making money. You're not making money, they're not going to invest anything. You can go to the bank, but you don't have a track record of generating income, right?
Right.
You can go to your friends and family, and most likely you're not going to pay them back, and you're going to ruin that relationship.
Right.
But I can give you a fourth.
Right.
This is the magic that you need to do. You need to get money from your clients. And what do you mean? Yeah, go get money from your clients. Start creating something that creates it has value on it, and then sell it to your clients so your clients can pay you.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we have, and this is why I'm always encouraged and I'm always excited, because for us in the United States, with everything that's going on, it has never been easier to get attention and to get raise money as it is right now. So, if you're truly passionate about an idea, all you need is this thing that we use. I know you've got one right there. You write down and you create a pitch deck for your idea. You lay out why you want to do what you want to do. You lay out your why, you lay out the risks, you lay out what your goal is, you lay out the phases, and you put it out there, and you just ask the internet, you ask the world, like, hey, I need support. Can you guys help me? And if you have merit in your idea, there's going to be others that see it and see value in it. And a lot of people would be surprised what they can do in this day and age. They just have to put in that initial grit to get that idea off the ground. That's right.
One thing, just to wrap it up here. So the website is logiccraft.com.
Yeah, so it's logicrat.com. So it's LOG.
Okay.
Here. Actually, I don't think I can link it here, but it's LOGICRAT.com.
Okay. .com. All right.
Yeah.
So people can go there as well, and they can go to your Facebook page and then get in contact with you. You know what? I got more than what I wished for by having this conversation, man. You there, man. I'm gonna cherish this. I'm gonna download it from my Facebook page and put it in a USB.
Same here. Yeah, same here. And we got to do it again. We're not losing touch. We're just getting started.
That's right. Well, thank you very much. Enjoy the nice. Well, how it was.
We're getting nice storm. We're getting some rain. It's cooling down. Right. It's okay.
Okay, it's cooling down. But it was 117.
It's just another day in paradise.
There we go. Well, hey, thank you. I'm gonna call you Mr. Logicraft.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this evening.
Thank you.
Blessings, and see you next time.
Been a pleasure. Yes. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.